Good morning, St. Francis. Good morning, people of God. It is Friday, the 20th day of June 2025, Friday of the 11th week of the year, the 11th week in ordinary time. It's a lot quieter today than yesterday with the lawnmowers and everything else like that. Just some cicadas in the trees making a little bit of noise and things like that. But it's a bit cooler Friday today than it was yesterday. Terrible storms came in through last night, and it's kind of in the shade, especially, it's a bit comfortable. So be grateful for what you can get here in North Carolina during the summertime. So Friday of the 11th week of the year, 2 Corinthians continues. Again, now Paul is in this fight with these super apostles. Again, these ones who are coming with a message that is not necessarily consistent with what Paul has received. Plus, they're also trying to show how they are better at living out this life that Jesus maps out in the gospel message and things like that. And Paul is now contending with them and showing basically how he is much better than they are, because Paul will always try to show people how better he is than everybody else. It was one of Paul's redeeming qualities, not redeeming, endearing qualities, but it was sometimes very frustrating and pain in the rear to be able to deal with Paul in this way. But here we have basically, it's just a list of all of the weaknesses, of all of the trials, of all the tribulations that Paul has gone through. And again, for these super apostles who basically are great orators and who basically bring people into their ranks because of their wonderful speech that they give. Because remember, being able to give speeches in the ancient world was a highly refined art, and something that was consistent also with sort of entertainment and things like that. And so to be an orator in the ancient world was a highly prestigious position to have. And basically all you ever did was give speeches about different kinds of things. Everybody, to talk about your thoughts, your philosophies, and your ideas and stuff like that. And if you could do it well and get a following behind you, well, fantastic. Well, this is where Paul is competing with now. And so he says that, and when you were an orator, you were a person on a high list. And so everyone, bowed before you and did all kinds of great things for you. And, it was never letting you have to do anything for yourself. It was like a movie star or a music star, whatever it is today. But Paul says, again, he doesn't want those he does kind of want those things, but he doesn't want those things in those way. And so he basically goes on and talks about all these things that he has endured, which an orator wouldn't necessarily endure. He might if he said things that were not good, but rarely he was trying also to get people to like him so that he could continue to get benefits from being an orator. Paul is like, now, no, look at all the things I had to suffer through, and this great litany of all these punishments and whippings and degradations and deprivations and all kinds of things like that. And he does all of this, again, to boast of his weaknesses. Again, the orators boast of their power. Paul is boasting of his weaknesses because he's doing this for Christ, not for himself. And it's something to think about. It's something to think about. Again, how do we boast of our weaknesses? Many times in our world today, again, to have a weakness is considered a detriment. It's also pathological. No one should have any weaknesses whatsoever. And when we have weaknesses, especially with what we're doing, at work or at a career, occupation, whatever it happens to be, these can become things that all of a sudden, again, the rest of the employers or bosses or whatever it is, basically latch onto and will tell you that you're no good or that you're not right for this and all kinds of things like that. And it's not right. It's not right, because again, to boast of our weaknesses means that we know what we are not capable of, and where we can, hopefully navigate through, if not improve, to navigate through those things, to allow us, to attain, the wonders and the beauties that we want, and that God wants for us. Again, a weakness is not something that ever gets in the way. A weakness is not something that stops us from being who and what we are. A weakness is something that allows us to understand better ourselves and allow that understanding to let God's light and God's hope shine through. In Matthew's Gospel today, again, speaks of the eye as a lamp to the soul, as a window to the soul. And if there's goodness that comes through that eye, then there'll be goodness in yourself. If there is darkness that comes through that eye, then there is darkness in yourself. And it's interesting where Jesus says at the end of this, the darkness will be great. And again, this is where, again, this responsibility that we have, again, to live a particular life that is open, again, to wonder and beauty, to compassion, to care, to forgiveness, to love. If we do not allow those things into our life, and we'd rather take what is sometimes a very easier way of letting hatreds and hurts and pains and sufferings get in the way of all of that, well, then it continues to grow. And it continues in some ways almost to blot out, what is good around us, what is good with us. But the idea is it can be corrected, it can be changed. if we just recognize the fact again of what we are seeing and what are we thinking about as we see it, and how letting that sight, that is given to us, grow into something that is good, into something that is beautiful, and something that allows, the wonder and beauty of ourselves to shine through into the wonder and beauty of others. A continued blessed day, St. Francis and people of God. May the Lord give you his peace.